Welcome back to another video of My Dearest Nemesis episode 2. Storyline starting with they recognize each other from the car crash, and Soo-jung calls him a pervert for having his shirt open. He responds that she is the pervert for spying on him while he was changing clothes. Joo-hyun demanded that she forget the incident and pretend they had never met outside of work. Soo-jung agreed, promising never to mention it again. However, even with this promise, Joo-hyun still considered her a major threat to his perfect image. In the meeting with the team, he says that the new goal is to double the number of sales. They don't need to worry because he will personally create the schedule, and they just need to follow it to reach the targets. Then, he publicly reprimands Soo-jung, making it clear that, unlike the previous bosses, if there were any conflicts between them, it would be Soo-jung who would leave the company. The secretary appreciated Joo-hyun's firm stance in the meeting and thoughtfully brought him a cup of strong coffee, unaware that Joo-hyun actually preferred sweets and only pretended to like strong, bitter coffee to maintain his professional image. At lunchtime, Joo-hyun stood in front of a cafe, craving chocolate milk. This moment was caught by Soo-jung, who, eager to improve their relationship, quickly approached and offered to buy sweets for him. Since Soo-jung kept catching him revealing hidden aspects of his identity, Joo-hyun began to see her as a maximum-level threat that needed to be eliminated. From then on, he started intentionally making Soo-jung's work more difficult, hoping she would quit on her own. However, she proved to be extremely competent, excelling even more in her tasks and overcoming every challenge he imposed. Determined to find a reason to fire her, Joo-hyun asks for help from his best friend Kim Shin-won to use his beauty and charisma to blend in with the employees and gather information about Joo-hyun. However, all he hears are praises and admiration from the employees for her. Thinking that Soo-jung was finally looking for a woman for his life, Shin-won said that Soo-jung would be the perfect choice since she is trustworthy, supportive, obsessed with work, and determined, the perfect match for him. Because Shin-won is very handsome and charismatic, he always attracts women's attention, even though he makes it clear that he has a girlfriend. Even though he is faithful and not to blame for women being attracted to him, his girlfriend always blames him. Annoyed after seeing a waitress flirting with Shin-won, she says she doesn't want to go back to that restaurant, and he promises to find a more private place next time. That's when we meet Soo-jung's best friend, Seo Ha-jin, a newly divorced woman and owner of the restaurant Sulo. Despite being very cozy and serving delicious food, the place rarely has customers due to its poor location. Soo-jung then encourages her to promote the restaurant online so that people can find it more easily. And that's exactly how Shin-won discovers this seemingly perfect place to take his girlfriend. The problem is that Shin-won seems to have been born to win hearts, and when Ha-jin sees him looking for her restaurant, she approaches to invite him in. Just then, a distracted man on a bicycle nearly crashes into them. Ha-jin quickly pulls Shin-won to safety, holding him in her arms, creating a classic yet reversed romantic K-drama moment. Realizing the awkwardness of the situation, Shin-won quickly stands up, but Ha-jin is left impressed by how muscular his back is. He helps her pick up the papers she dropped while saving him, just as his girlfriend arrives and gets jealous upon seeing them together. Even a simple thank you after receiving food from Ha-jin annoys her. Once again, she starts arguing with Shin-won, saying that she thinks he doesn't love her because he should only treat her well. As ridiculous as that sounds, Shin-won remains calm and smiling as he tries to reassure her, but she keeps going. She then says that being his girlfriend makes no difference since he treats everyone the same, and declares that they should break up because she was happier before they started dating. Now that they are together, she constantly feels anxious and pathetic. If that's how he makes her feel, Shin-won agrees to the breakup, wishing her happiness. Expecting him to beg her not to leave, she becomes frustrated and angry upon hearing his response, cursing him before storming off. With just the two of them left, Shin-won apologizes to Ha-jin for witnessing the scene and calls himself a jerk. However, Ha-jin tells him he would only be a jerk if he treated people badly, just as his ex wanted him to. She then serves him a delicious plate of sashimi. After work, Soo-jung went out to dinner with her colleagues, who advised her not to confront Joo-hyun. Just as they were about to reveal his background, Joo-hyun suddenly appeared, questioning why they hadn't invited him to the meal. Trying to improve their relationship, Soo-jung served him grilled meat and filled his glass. However, the dinner quickly turned into an intense drinking competition. Determined not to lose, the two kept drinking until, in the end, Joo-hyun was completely drunk. Now out of his senses, he started asking for chocolate milk repeatedly. When Joo-hyun woke up the next day, covered in chocolate milk stains, he recalled getting too close to Soo-jung the night before. She had revealed to him that she was like a weed, growing even stronger when someone tried to pull her out, because she didn't know how to give up and always fought back when attacked. And that's why the bosses don't like her. They don't like being confronted. Joo-hyun says it's not her fault. The weak don't like the strong, and the incompetent don't like the competent. However, that's not his issue with her, as he actually likes having strong and competent people on his team. Joo-hyun admitted that she was an excellent employee and that he didn't dislike her, but she was a threat. Before he could explain why she was a threat, he completely lost consciousness and started asking her for chocolate milk. At work, he overheard Soo-jung talking about how their boss got drunk the previous night. Feeling his pride wounded, he reprimanded her, saying that weeds were like worms that could easily be eliminated, claiming that he had spared her only because he didn't want to dirty his hands by pulling her from the filthy soil. Soo-jung had held back for too long. Enough was enough. She stormed into his office and confronted him, saying that outside of work, they were all human, and he had no right to insult her like that just because he was her boss. Even when he threatened to fire her, Soo-jung didn't back down, even challenging him to settle things outside without involving their work positions. As the situation escalated dangerously, a colleague had to step in and pull her out, apologizing to the boss and saying she was still drunk from the night before. Joo-hyun's secretary warned him that he had crossed the line and that he could no longer fire Soo-jung, as she could accuse him of workplace harassment, destroying his reputation. The colleague tried to calm Soo-jung down and informed her of Joo-hyun's true identity. He was the only grandson of the president and the future heir of Yongseong. Shocked by this revelation and determined to secure her job, Soo-jung decided to take the initiative. She sought to find some leverage over Joo-hyun in case he ever tried to fire her. After work, Soo-jung secretly followed him and saw him enter a public restroom with a briefcase. When he came out, he was dressed in eccentric rocker attire, completely different from his usual serious business suit. She was stunned. She followed him to a nightclub and watched as he happily danced to rock music, completely shattering her previous perception of him. Soo-jung took photos and sent them to Joo-hyun, hoping to use them as a bargaining chip to prevent him from firing her. Unexpectedly, Joo-hyun immediately went to her house for a face-to-face conversation, making her father excited, believing that his daughter has finally found a boyfriend. They met at a diner where Joo-hyun couldn't stop eyeing the delicious meal Soo-jung had ordered but held back to maintain his image. Getting straight to the point, he agreed to stop trying to fire her but stated that he would put her under strict surveillance and protection. The condition was that Soo-jung delete the photos immediately and now work directly under him. Soo-jung quickly signed the agreement. However, she soon realized that Joo-hyun's demands went far beyond what she had imagined. Whether she was having dinner with colleagues or eating alone, he always summoned her, often for trivial tasks like shredding papers. Soo-jung couldn't understand the reason behind all of this. The only things she knew about Joo-hyun were his personal hobbies, which were harmless and nowhere near scandalous enough to make headlines, unlike other chaebol heirs. She didn't understand why he needed to hide them. Joo-hyun explained that leisure activities were unnecessary for someone like him, an heir. Likewise, he couldn't comprehend why Soo-jung was so dedicated to her job. She responded that this was her way of living, without depending on anyone. They didn't fully understand each other's perspectives, but they agreed to respect their different lifestyles. After a long day of shredding papers, Soo-jung longed for the end of the workday. However, Joo-hyun wasn't ready to let her go and took her to a clothing store to help him choose an outfit. After finally finding the right one, he told her to try on a dress. When she stepped out of the fitting room, Joo-hyun was mesmerized by her beauty. He took her to a dinner meeting with clients. Some chaebol heirs present started whispering upon seeing him, mocking him for not fitting in with their group. They commented on his time in the US, where he neither drank, gambled, nor had fun with women, unlike them, who were always surrounded by women and partying. They even offered him a woman to entertain himself with that night, but Joo-hyun firmly refused, saying he found their lifestyle superficial and ridiculous. Meanwhile, By the pool, Soo-jung was being harassed by another heir, who grabbed her wrist and tried to force her to go to a room with him. Soo-jung resisted and kicked him. The spoiled heir, unwilling to accept rejection, spat out offensive words and raised his hand against her. At the crucial moment, Joo-hyun stopped him, pinning the heir down and shoving him into the pool. Then, he elegantly turned around and with calling her darling. From power struggles to unexpected moments of vulnerability, episode 2 of My Dearest Nemesis is keeping us on edge. What will happen next now that Joo-hyun has stepped in as Soo-jung's so-called darling? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more K-drama updates.